This is another battle in the fury of Barbarians Tournament. We have the Huns commanded by Armenian King, and the Jutes commanded by Iraklis. This is the previous battle was just a few minutes long. Looks like we're going to have another short one. So Iraklis' army consists of 6 Nordic horse lords, 6 Huskala, 1 Nordic axe, and a front line of 6 Nordic band. Now, and he also has a Nordic radiator, which means that Greek Iraklis is swinging around with 8 Dane axe units. On the charge, that will destroy anything. The one infantry unit that UR warriors have a hard time fighting is the Dane axe wielding units with their longer reach, their 20 bonus, and their insane charge damage. They will destroy UR warriors very quickly. Of course, the Nordic horse lords are a massive problem for the Huns. They are heavy, they have good armor, they have good health, basically everything that the Huns have a problem dealing with. And then we have a front line of Nordic band, which is great for throwing precursor javelins at something and blobbing up the enemy army. So I really like Greek Iraklis' army here. Very good army for fighting the Huns. For Armenian King, we have a front line of 6 step bows, which I quite like. Good choice. Being up against the Jutes, he probably knows he has to counter housecarls. Then he has a 100 dismounted warband on each side, 6 UR warriors in the center. Then he has noble step cataphracts, actually, very interesting. Insane charge bonus, very, very strong shock cavalry unit, and they are also heavy, so they are the one of the few heavy units available to the Huns. The Steppe Warlord, he is a fair general, don't see why he isn't a brace general. Then we have the Noble Steppe, and Noble Steppe. So, in terms of cavalry, in a head-on engagement, it's going to be very interesting to see what the outcome is. For the Jutes, of course, we don't have any skirmishers, so if these Steppe bows get in a few volleys on the Nordic horse lords, they might get wrecked by noble step cataphracts on the charge. However, there are only 5 noble step cataphracts, while Iraklis has Nordic horse lords. Now the thing is that if the Nordic horse lords survive they don't need to survive for long. They just need to survive for long enough that the Dane axe units come in and absolutely destroy. And also, this screen of Nordic band is a very good idea, because it will allow Iraklis to push significantly harder than if he didn't have this screen. So he's basically paying 600 here. Or does he have 7? He has a Nordic brigade as well? No, he only has 6. So this very cheap screen of 600 allows him to, like this, allows him to draw out fire, and it allows him to push very significantly. And here the noble step cataphracts are firing. Unfortunately, they don't have too much ammunition on them. And it looks like Armenian King is going to be... Ooh, it looked like he was going to go for it there. But he's actually going to keep firing and send out his Hunnic Dismounted and his UR Warriors, which isn't a terrible idea, because he should be able to destroy the Nordic band in seconds. And I don't think the Nordic band was able to throw precursors. No, they weren't, because they had attack orders here. So that was a pretty nice move there by Armenian King, taking out the entire front line of Greek Iraklis. The Nordic band might come back from routing, but now Armenian King is still able to fire at the Nordic horse lords. And now this is going to be very interesting to see how the noble step cataphracts do on the charge here. The charges are not completely clean, and charges that aren't clean usually favors melee cavalry, because they are sturdier. But the step, let's see here, the step noble step cataphracts are getting a nice amount of kills here. However, once again, the Dane axe units of Iraklis are too close. And when the Dane axe units start rushing in, it's basically game over. But look at this noble step cataphract doing a very good job. The problem is, though, what's going to happen when... Ooh, here we have Greek Iraklis' general fighting up against 2 units of steppe nobles. However, the problem though for Iraklis, his cavalry is all tied down, and these steppe bows can do a lot of damage to housecarls when they are engaged. Pulling out the steppe warlord is doing a lot of damage to it, but he really needs to get the steppe warlord out of this engagement. And here's the shock cavalry problem. If the shock cavalry gets tied down in any way, then they will get wrecked. Noble steppe cataphracts rushing in and getting some more kills here. These are the sturdiest units readily available to the Huns. But still, being shock cavalry, they are hard to use effectively. In melee, of course, cannot stand up to noble Nordic horse lords, but they have done a decent job, I have to say. And the UA warriors get wrecked by housecarls. There are just so many housecarls on the field here. Even the Nordic raid leader getting some kills here. Hunnics dismounted and UARs charging in now. And a nice job done here by Armenian King in focusing fire on these blobs. But he's causing a significant amount of friendly fire to his own UR warriors, which of course is a problem. But he needs to deal with these these housecarls in some way. They're just cleaning up each and every engagement. So the Nordic horse lords, they're not going to be winning. They're not going to be winning on their own. But since they have headhunt and since they are very tanky, they will buy the housecarls time to get into combat. And if a Jute army is able to do that, then they are going to do very well indeed. So that combination, shock infantry, sturdy cavalry, it's a very dangerous combination. And basically everything for Armenian King is off the field now. Aside from these few cavalry units, his infantry is gone.
Our men run from the
but
enemy.
now he has these steppe bows left. But it's only a matter of time before Iraklis manages to clean up these few engagements here and then go and take care of it. But these noble steppe cataphracts are doing a decent job against the enemy cavalry for sure. The thing against Jutes, you have to come equipped to kill housecarls and good melee cavalry, and dealing with that combination of shock infantry and good cavalry, it's very difficult. It's what makes the Burgundians so strong.
The men have thrown down their weapons and are fleeing.
And also having the very cheap screen up front allows you the time to get in and essentially control your opponent's movement. So that combination of cheap melee and very cheap melee units, like, they're basically getting no kills. If they manage to throw their precursors, they would get some kills, but basically no kills, and then the housecarls just clean up. But the noble steppe cataphracts, let's just have a look at them here. I haven't seen them used very often for the Huns. Let's see here. Nobles, oh, they're shock, of course. Noble steppe cataphracts. Yeah, at 800, they are one of the tankier units available to the Huns. Like the first wave lancers, I don't understand why you would ever bring first wave lancers over the noble steppe cataphracts. When noble steppe cataphracts are heavy, have a beastly charge bonus, good health and good armor. Now, while the noble steppe cataphracts are one of the sturdier units available to the Huns, the thing that makes the Huns the combination steppe cataphract, because it's a very interesting combination. If we look at the Jutes here, the Nordic horse lords are only 700, so let's just bring 6 Nordic horse lords. Now the interesting thing though is that when you bring 6 Nordic horse lords and 6 Nordic band, this combination costs exactly the same as bringing 6 noble steppe cataphracts. So the tactical flexibility that you get from having 6 Nordic horse lords, good melee cavalry, and 6 dirt cheap units is something that these noble steppe cataphracts are going to have a very hard time with. They're not going to be getting clean charges, they're going to get hit by precursors, and that's really going to kill them. When we add to that Iraklis also brought 6 housecarls, 1 Nordic raid leader, and did he have a Nordic axe warrior in there as well? I think he had a total of, or maybe he just put some upgrades on his units. I don't quite remember, but let's say this was approximately, I actually think it was something like this instead. And then some upgrades perhaps, not 100%, but very close to this. So the problem now is that the Nordic band deny charges, the housecarls rush in and support any and all fights with beastly melee attack, beastly melee damage and a bonus against infantry, and the Nordic horse lords just survive. That is something that is extremely hard for the Huns to deal with, because the strength of the Huns lies in the UR warriors have gotten nerfed, but they're also very cheap now. So while the Huns aren't going to be the only way that Huns are going to be winning cavalry fights is by a combination of units. So for example, steppe lancers in combination with, let's see here, steppe mounted tribes people or steppe mounted tribes people. This combination is a combination that's going to be able to do fairly well against enemy cavalry units. However, if you look at the price on them, we have 375 plus 450, so that's 825. Yeah, that's 825. So you have 825 to defeat a unit that costs around 700, and you take up 2 army slots. That is not a good situation to be in, especially not when you know with 100% certainty that your infantry is going to lose on the charge against the Jutes and against any Nordic faction and any faction that has a Danax type of unit. If you're not up against those factions, you're going to be up against superior cavalry, and those cavalry units are going to wreck your UR warriors when they are done cleaning house with your cavalry. So I liked what Armenian King had planned here with bringing a lot of steppos, a lot of noble steppe cataphracts, but Greek Iraklis just has more expendable units, and he has the durability that the Huns do not possess. So another good battle, really like that one. Good game to both Iraklis and to Armenian King. Strength and honor.